The stars were calm that night. Far beyond the blue shimmer of Earth's orbit, the silence of space carried something new, something that made the crew of every listening station hold their breath. A signal had arrived. It was not random static or a faint whisper from a dying star. It was a message. For centuries, humanity had waited for this moment. First contact. But no one expected it to come like this, so direct, so confident, and so demanding. The transmission did not ask if humanity wished to join the Galactic Union. It simply said, "Prepare your representative for peaceful integration." On Earth, the United Terran Council gathered in silence. Every general, scientist, and diplomat sat around a long black table, their eyes reflecting the glowing words on the screen. Integration. The word sounded soft, but every intelligence report told another story. The Galactic Union was not a peaceful organization. It was an empire that had conquered entire civilizations using the language of peace. "They always begin with diplomacy," Admiral Rahman said, his voice low and steady. "Then they send fleets to protect the new member. Protection becomes control. Control becomes slavery." The room stayed quiet until Commander Elias Ward spoke. He was young for his rank, but he had faced the unknown more than once. His voice carried no fear, only conviction. "If they want to talk, we will talk. But not from a position of weakness. Not this time." The Council's decision was made that night. Humanity would respond to the invitation, but they would not send a small shuttle or a single ambassador ship. They would send the Resolute, the most powerful dreadnought ever built by human hands. It was not a gesture of war. It was a message of survival. When the order reached the shipyards on Mars, engineers worked day and night. The Resolute was more than a ship. It was a symbol of everything humanity had learned from its dark history. Its titanium hull was layered with plasma shielding. Its engines could cross systems in hours, and deep within its steel heart, it carried enough firepower to turn a moon into dust. Commander Ward stood on the command deck as technicians prepared for launch. Around him, hundreds of crew members moved with quiet purpose. Some were nervous, others proud, but all of them knew what this mission meant. "This is not a warship," Ward told them during the briefing. "It is our voice. And it will speak clearly." The day of departure arrived. Earth's oceans shimmered far below as the Dreadnought broke free from the planet's gravity. Its engines roared like thunder. Children looked up from city rooftops and cheered, not knowing if they were witnessing the start of a legend or the beginning of humanity's end. When the Resolute reached the border of known space, the alien beacon guided them to a neutral zone. It was empty, too empty. No planets, no asteroids, only the distant glow of dying stars. The crew watched from the observation deck as hundreds of alien ships began to appear one by one, forming a ring around them. They were beautiful in design, shimmering silver, alive with pulsing lights. But their formation was not friendly. It was strategic. A circle of containment. Lieutenant Cara Mendez whispered, "They call this diplomacy?" Ward replied quietly, "Their kind of diplomacy, maybe. Not ours." A transmission came through. The face of the alien envoy appeared on the screen, tall, elegant, and expressionless. Its voice was smooth, almost too calm. "Welcome, representatives of Sul. The Galactic Union greets you with peace and purpose. Lower your shields and prepare for boarding." The words hung heavy in the air. "Lower your shields. Prepare for boarding." Those were not the words of equals. They were the words of masters. Ward leaned forward, his voice steady. "We appreciate your welcome, but our ship is not programmed for surrender." The alien's silver eyes flickered in irritation. "We do not demand surrender. We offer guidance. Your species is young, unpredictable. The Union will bring you stability." Ward's lips curved slightly. "We prefer freedom to stability." For a moment, the communication line was silent. Then the alien envoy gave a slow, almost pitying smile. "Then perhaps this meeting will help you understand the meaning of peace." The screen went dark. Inside the Resolute, tension filled every corridor. Officers checked weapon systems. Engineers rerouted power to shields. The silence before the storm had begun. In the strategy chamber, Ward studied the holographic map showing the alien ships moving closer. Their numbers were overwhelming, but his mind was calm. He had read every report about the Galactic Union's methods. He knew their pattern: soft words, hidden fleets, forced compliance. "Commander," his first officer said, "should we prepare for retreat?" Ward shook his head. "No, we hold position. If we run now, they will think we are prey." The crew obeyed without question. Humanity had come too far to kneel now. Then slowly, a strange light appeared ahead. A massive alien capital ship descended from hyperspace. It dwarfed even the Resolute, its hull glowing with energy patterns that rippled like living veins. The alien fleet parted to make way for it. The entire bridge went quiet. Even the hum of the engines seemed to fade. Ward stared at the monstrous vessel and whispered, "That is their true envoy." The alien flagship stopped just beyond the human ship's range. Its presence was a warning, an unspoken threat wrapped in golden light. Ward pressed his hand against the glass of the viewing deck, looking into the endless black. "So this is peace," he murmured. "1,000 guns behind a smile." He turned toward his crew. "Record this transmission," he said. "Let every human world hear these words." He faced the screen and spoke clearly. "This is Commander Elias Ward of the United Terran Navy. We came for peace. We came with respect. But we will not bow to those who mistake kindness for weakness." The message was sent across every channel. Beyond the stars, the alien fleet moved into new positions. Humanity's first contact had begun, and the galaxy would never forget the way it started, not with words, but with the shadow of a dreadnought. The alien flagship hovered like a silver moon, its surface covered with living metal that moved and shimmered. It looked peaceful from a distance, almost beautiful, but everyone aboard the Resolute felt the tension in their bones. There was something wrong about that ship. Too quiet, too patient. Commander Elias Ward stood in the command chamber, watching as the alien docking craft approached. His crew moved carefully, hands hovering near controls, eyes sharp and silent. "No one trusted this welcome. Open the outer airlock," Ward ordered. "But keep internal barriers sealed. No one enters uninvited." The alien craft attached to the ship with a hiss. Moments later, the doors opened, and 5 beings stepped through. They were tall and slender, their skin smooth like polished glass. Their eyes were black voids, no pupils, no emotion, just reflection. They wore robes that shimmered between silver and gold, each movement bending the light around them. The lead envoy raised a long hand. "We greet humanity under the laws of unity and peace," it said in a voice that was both male and female, echoing as though it came from everywhere at once. Ward nodded politely. "Commander Elias Ward, representing the United Terran Council. We are honored by your invitation." The alien's thin lips curved slightly. "We did not invite. We summoned. You are here to understand your place among us." The words were calm, but their meaning struck hard. Ward did not reply. His silence was answer enough. The alien envoy's black eyes scanned the Dreadnought's walls. "This vessel," it said softly, "is a weapon of war. It does not belong in a meeting of peace." Ward's tone stayed neutral. "Our history taught us that peace without strength does not last." The aliens exchanged glances. Their leader smiled again. "You speak of strength, Commander. But strength is not something your kind possesses." The room chilled. Lieutenant Cara Mendez, standing by the console, clenched her fists. Ward raised his hand slightly to calm her, then said, "We will let history decide that." The alien envoy extended a glowing tablet. "These are the terms of integration. Your species will join the Union immediately. All planetary defenses will be placed under the Union's supervision. Military structures will be dismantled. In return, the Union will provide guidance, protection, and peace." Ward stared at the tablet, but did not touch it. His voice was steady. "And if we refuse?" The alien smiled, but there was no kindness in it. "Then the Union will correct your decision. We prefer diplomacy, Commander, but we are not without other tools." For a long moment, no one spoke. The hum of the Resolute filled the silence like a heartbeat. Finally, Ward said quietly, "I will deliver your offer to the Council. But understand this, humanity does not kneel. Not to kings, not to gods, and not to councils that speak peace while holding a gun. The alien envoy's eyes flickered, a flash of blue like static. "You misunderstand, Commander. The Union is peace." Ward turned away. "Then perhaps peace has forgotten its meaning." The envoys were escorted back to their craft. As the doors sealed, the crew exhaled. The tension broke like glass. Lieutenant Mendez spoke first. "They did not come to talk. They came to take." Ward nodded. "Yes, and they think we are too naive to see it." Suddenly, the ship's sensors began to scream. Red lights filled the bridge. Officer Toma shouted from his console, "Commander, multiple cloaked vessels detected. They are moving into formation around us." Ward's jaw tightened. "How close?" "Too close. 20, no, 40 ships. They were hidden inside the Union fleet." The Dreadnought's hum deepened as its systems woke fully. The ship's skin glowed with the faint blue shimmer of active shielding. Across the void, alien ships began to turn their weapons toward them, energy cores burning bright. The bridge fell silent except for the low rhythm of the engines. Ward looked out through the viewport at the endless field of alien lights. He had been trained for war, but this moment felt heavier than any battle. This was not about territory. It was about survival, about whether humanity's spirit would break or rise. He pressed the intercom. "All hands, this is Commander Ward. We came to speak, not to fight, but our visitors have chosen another path. I will not fire first, but if they attack, I expect every one of you to remember who you are and who we represent. Today, the galaxy learns what it means to meet humanity." The crew responded with steady voices. "Aye, Commander." A sudden tremor shook the deck. The main screen flashed. Energy surge detected. One of the alien ships had locked weapons. Lieutenant Mendez looked up. "They are targeting us!" Ward's voice cut through the noise, calm and precise. "Hold your fire. Wait for confirmation." Another tremor hit, this time stronger. The alarm screamed again. "Direct hit on outer shields," shouted Toma. "Minor damage, defensive fields holding." Ward's patience ended. "Fire control, lock main batteries. Return warning fire. Sector 7 grid." A thunderous rumble filled the ship as the Dreadnought's cannons unleashed a controlled burst. The beams sliced through the darkness, grazing the enemy's hulls in warning. Sparks scattered like stars. For a heartbeat, the galaxy went silent again. Then dozens of enemy ships charged weapons in response. Ward stared at the growing storm of red and blue lights. "So be it," he said softly. "Diplomacy has failed." He looked to Mendez and gave the order. "All stations, Combat Protocol Omega, the Dreadnought stands ready." As the bridge lights dimmed to combat red, the stars outside began to move, the Union fleet closing in. Humanity's lone warship surrounded. The calm of peace was gone. What remained was the cold breath of war waiting to explode. Commander Ward straightened his uniform, his voice steady as the storm approached. "If this is how they welcome us," he said, "then let us show them what humanity calls a reply." The first blast came without warning. A streak of light tore through the darkness and struck the Resolute's shield, shaking the ship from end to end. Sparks burst from the control panels. The crew staggered, gripping their stations as alarms filled the bridge. Commander Elias Ward did not move. His eyes stayed on the main display, watching the swarm of enemy ships forming a wall of fire around them. "So this is what peace looks like," he murmured. Lieutenant Mendez shouted, "Shields at 70%, Commander. Reinforce them. Channel all auxiliary power to the forward grid." The ship trembled again. Another blast hit, then another. The Resolute stood alone against an entire Union fleet. They had called this meeting diplomacy, but their actions screamed invasion. Ward took a slow breath, his tone cold and firm. "Weapons officer, fire a controlled barrage." No hesitation, the human Dreadnought answered the attack. Its cannons roared, splitting the darkness into blinding blue fire. 1, 2, 3 beams struck clean through enemy ships. The first Union cruiser exploded, torn apart like paper. The blast illuminated the void, a burning reminder that humanity would not die quietly. Across the galaxy, observers watched in disbelief. Thousands of systems tuned into the transmission. A single human ship, surrounded by hundreds, was fighting like a beast, cornered, yet unbroken. Ward's voice echoed across the command deck. "Target their lead vessel. Disable propulsion. Show them we are not prey." The gunners obeyed. The next volley from the Resolute cut through the void with precision. The alien flagship's engines burst into flames, spinning it out of formation. Panic rippled through the Union fleet. "Commander, incoming communications," yelled Mendez. "They're hailing us again," Ward nodded. "Put them through." The face of the alien envoy appeared once more, distorted by static and fury. "Human, you are attacking the Union. You will be destroyed for this outrage." Ward's expression remained calm. "You fired first. We defended ourselves. This is not an outrage, it is consequence." The alien's smooth face twisted. "You have made a grave mistake. You think yourselves strong, but you are nothing compared to us." Ward leaned forward, voice low and sharp. "If that were true, you would not be talking right now." The alien cut the connection. Outside, the Union fleet reorganized. New ships warped in, sleek, predatory, and countless. The Resolute now faced 1,000 enemies. But its engines pulsed brighter, its shields held stronger, and its cannons glowed like the fury of a dying star. Ward stood tall, his hand resting on the console. "All batteries, open fire!" The void erupted. The soundless battlefield lit up with waves of color, blue against crimson. The Dreadnought moved like a predator through the storm, its massive form rolling and striking with precision. Entire enemy squadrons vanished in seconds, burned to dust by plasma fire. Every strike carried purpose. Every explosion carried a message. Humanity did not start wars, but it ended them with clarity. Inside the ship, chaos lived beside courage. Engineers raced through smoke-filled corridors, sealing ruptures, rerouting power. The medical bay overflowed with wounded, but no one abandoned their post. Every heartbeat of the Resolute thudded with defiance. Mendez looked at the commander. "We can't hold forever, sir. Their numbers keep growing." Ward's eyes stayed on the stars. "Then we make them remember this day forever." He activated the ship-wide channel. "To all hands! Record transmission to all Union frequencies." He took a breath and spoke clearly. "This is Commander Elias Ward of the United Terran Navy. We came to talk. You came to conquer. You mistake peace for weakness. Today, you will learn what humanity means by the word resolve." The Dreadnought's cannons charged to full. The deck vibrated as power surged through its core. Outside, the enemy fleet launched its final assault, forming a spiral of light around the human ship. Ward raised his hand. Now, the Resolute unleashed everything. Every weapon fired at once. The dark void became a sea of burning light. Shockwaves rippled through space, tearing through hundreds of alien ships. One by one, their lights flickered and died. The galaxy gasped. A single ship alone had broken the fleet of an empire. When the smoke cleared, the Resolute floated silent but unbroken. The wreckage of alien vessels surrounded it like a graveyard of arrogance. Ward exhaled slowly. "Cease fire." The bridge was silent. The crew looked around, exhausted, bruised, but alive. "Status report," Ward asked. "Shields at 30%, multiple hull breaches sealed," Mendez replied. "Weapons overheating but operational. We're still here," Ward gave a faint smile. "Good. Let them see us still standing." The communication screen flickered again. It was the alien envoy, bloodied, shaken, and silent for a moment before speaking. "You cannot win against the Union," Ward replied calmly. "We already did. You just don't see it yet." The alien's face hardened. "The Union will not forgive this." "Then let them remember it," Ward said. "Because this was diplomacy, too, just not the kind you expected." He cut the line. The bridge lights dimmed, leaving only the stars glowing outside. The wreckage drifted slowly past the viewport, pieces of metal reflecting the cold light of victory. For a while, no one spoke. Then Mendez whispered, "Do you think they'll attack again?" Ward looked at the remains of the fleet and said quietly, "Not today. Today they are afraid." The crew stood in silence, feeling the truth in his words. The Resolute had become something more than a ship. It was a symbol, a warning, a promise. Somewhere far away, on alien worlds, millions watched the transmission replay. The message of humanity echoed through every broadcast. We do not seek war, but we will never bow. The galaxy for the first time began to see Earth not as a primitive world, but as a power they could no longer ignore. The war zone had fallen silent. Only drifting wreckage and fading plasma trails marked what had happened in that corner of the galaxy. The Resolute floated among them like a scarred monument, its armor scorched, its engines dim, but its heart still alive. Inside, the air smelled of metal and ozone. Crew members worked quietly, patching broken systems, tending to the wounded, and staring out into the dark void that had nearly consumed them. Commander Elias Ward stood on the bridge, hands clasped behind his back, watching the stars through the cracked viewport. His reflection looked older now, eyes tired, uniform torn, but there was a quiet strength in his gaze. "Status report," he said softly. "Lieutenant Mendez." Her uniform, stained with soot, checked the console. "Hull integrity stable. Life support back online. Long-range sensors detecting no remaining hostiles." Ward nodded. "Any transmissions?" She hesitated. "Yes, sir. A lot of them across Union frequencies and beyond. They're calling it the Dreadnought incident. Everyone's talking about it." The commander gave a faint, weary smile. "Good. Let them talk." The galaxy had never seen anything like it. A single human ship standing alone against an empire and surviving. The footage had spread faster than any weapon. Entire star systems were replaying the broadcast of Ward's message. "You mistake peace for weakness." On distant worlds, alien leaders argued behind closed doors. Some called for immediate retaliation. Others whispered caution. For the first time in generations, the Galactic Union was afraid. But fear was only part of the story. Among the oppressed species within the Union, whispers had begun to rise. If humans could defy the Union, maybe others could too. Small rebellions sparked across remote sectors, hidden but growing. Humanity had not just defended itself, it had ignited a fire in the hearts of others. Back on the Resolute, engineers restored power to the main observation deck. The large screens flickered to life, showing news transmissions from across the galaxy. Everywhere, the name humanity appeared, surrounded by words like defiance, strength, hope. Mendez watched the feeds with quiet awe. "We came here expecting diplomacy," she said softly. "Instead, we changed everything," Ward replied. "Peace doesn't come from speeches. It comes from what you're willing to defend." There was a pause before she said, "Do you think they'll come back, sir?" Ward turned his gaze back to the stars. "Oh, they will. But next time, they'll remember what one ship did today." He walked toward the communications console. "Open a channel to Earth," he ordered. "We're going home." The transmission took minutes to reach Seoul. When the signal finally connected, the familiar blue sphere of Earth appeared on the screen, glowing against the black. The United Terran Council answered, their faces pale with shock and pride. "Commander Ward," the Council chairwoman said, "your actions today saved not just this mission, but our place in the galaxy." "The entire Union has paused its expansion efforts," Ward nodded. "It was not victory, Madam Chair. It was a warning to them and to us. We can never be unprepared again." "Understood," she replied. "You and your crew will be honored when you return. Humanity owes you its peace." Ward ended the call and turned to the bridge crew. "Set course for home." The engines came alive again, soft at first, then steady. The great Dreadnought began its slow turn, leaving behind the wreckage and the cold battlefield that had become history. But as the Resolute moved, its sensors detected faint energy signatures. Mendez frowned. "Commander, are you seeing this?" Ward glanced at the readings. Dozens of small signals, weak but real, coming from the wreckage of alien ships. Escape pods, survivors. He hesitated for only a moment before saying, "Plot intercept course." "Retrieve them," Mendez blinked. "Sir, they tried to destroy us." Ward's voice was calm. Yes, and now they will see what real peace looks like. Rescue teams moved quickly. One by one, alien survivors were brought aboard, injured, terrified, expecting execution. Instead, they found medics tending to them, food placed beside them, and quiet hands guiding them to safety. One alien officer, its silver eyes dim, looked at Ward and whispered, "Why save us?" Ward's reply was simple, "Because that's what humans do. We fight when we must, but we don't kill when we don't have to." The alien said nothing. It simply bowed its head, unable to understand, yet unable to forget. Days later, the Resolute crossed into Terran space. Crowds gathered in orbit to watch as the battered Dreadnought descended, its hull marked with battle scars that glowed like medals. When the ship landed, Earth erupted in celebration. Humanity had survived its first contact not through submission or surrender, but through strength and unity. Commander Ward stood before a sea of faces at the Terran assembly. His speech was brief, but it echoed far beyond that moment. "We did not go out there seeking war," he said. "We went seeking peace. But peace is not given, it is earned. Today, we showed the galaxy that humanity will not kneel. We will talk, we will listen, but if the stars demand it, we will stand." Applause filled the chamber. Cameras broadcast the words across every colony and station, but in Ward's heart, he knew the real work had only begun. The Union would return. The stars would not forget, and somewhere beyond human reach, new eyes were watching, some with fear, others with admiration. In the months that followed, new ships were built, larger, faster, stronger. The Terran Navy grew, not for conquest, but for protection. They named the new fleet the Ward Line, after the man who turned diplomacy into a shield, yet Commander Ward often returned to the Resolute, walking its silent halls. To him, the ship was not just metal and firepower, it was memory. It was proof that one voice, backed by courage, could echo across the universe. He stood at the viewport one last time, the stars gleaming before him. "We will meet them again," he said quietly. "And when we do, they will come with open hands instead of closed fists." Mendez smiled faintly beside him. "And if they don't?" Ward's gaze never left the stars. "Then the Resolute will remind them." The engines hummed softly behind them, a heartbeat of steel and light. Humanity's flag shimmered on the hull, reflected by distant suns. Across the galaxy, the legend spread of the humans who arrived not as conquerors, but as equals. Not with fear, but with fire. And from that day forward, when the words "peace talk" were spoken among the stars, every world remembered the Dreadnought that had come to speak for Earth.